Hello and welcome to this tutorial video where we're going to take you through the steps to get started with my MSFS Livery Toolkit application. This is the first of a series of tutorial videos that will take you through all aspects of this tool. So first things first, let's assume you don't have it installed yet. I'll take you through where to find it, how to install it, and some of the basic setup steps we need. Should all be pretty quick and straightforward. So there's two places you can download it. You can go from GitHub or flightsim.to. I'll show you the GitHub approach. I try and keep these in sync, but GitHub is always going to get new updates first before flightsim.to, but I tend to try and publish them more or less at the same time. Also worth noting here, so this is the main GitHub pages landing page. You can get through to a ton of documentation, which I'll try and keep up to date as I add new features. So there is a getting started guide there. But we'll run through this in the video. First thing we need to do is download the latest release. So click this download button and it will take you to the releases section of GitHub. Now this is something GitHub may be something you're not familiar with. We don't need to bother with hardly any of the UI or buttons here. All we need to do is scroll down to assets, expand that. Make sure you're under the latest release. All the different releases are here on the side. So this is the current latest. Expand assets, and we don't need the source code or either of these two. We just need that zip file. So click on that and it will download. So once that's downloaded, here we can see it and we just need to extract it. This doesn't have an installer, so it's what's known as a portable application. You can extract it anywhere. So we'll just extract it here just to keep it simple. And the application you need in the extracted folder is this exe file. There's a README and some license information in here, but simply double click this to bring up the application. You may see this application, this warning. This is because my exe is an unsigned executable. This is a standard Windows Defender warning. Unfortunately, there's not anything I can do about this. So I think we see similar from various flight sim tools and applications created by the community. So if you're comfortable with the risk, hit run anyway. If you don't want to run it, there's not much I can do about this. Feel free to get in touch if you're curious about how anything works under the hood. If I can reassure you by explaining how any of it is built, then that might be helpful. So I'm going to click run anyway. Wait for the application to start. Okay, so first things first, when you very first launch the application, this is the homepage you'll see. In fact, I'll just give you a quick rundown of the UI. We've got the homepage here. We've got project, liveries, and compile. We'll be using those when we actually build a livery. These buttons wake up when we have a livery project open. This paint kit builder, we'll also take a look at that in another tutorial. Lets you build a paint kit if the aircraft developer hasn't supplied one. And then settings, and that's what we'll be looking at here. You can see we've got this yellow message at the top telling us we need to go do some setup activity. So that's what we'll do now. Okay, here we are on the settings page. So let's talk you through this from top to bottom. So these first two allow you to set the path for the SDK, software development kit. They should be automatically detected. If you have either or both versions installed, it should find it, but you can browse to another path if for some reason it doesn't. If you don't have these installed, then you'll need to go into the MSFS options, and under advanced, I think it is, you can enable developer mode, and it also get you to a download link to install the SDK. So you do certainly need the 2024 version if you're building 2024 liveries. For the 2020 version, we do have this option now to say we can eliminate the reliance on the 2020 SDK if we say that we're going to compile our liveries using a different third-party tool, TextConv. So if I were to enable that, I could completely remove 2020 and the 2020 SDK from my PC and still create 2020 liveries for 2020 aircraft. So that's useful if you don't want to keep both versions installed. I do have both installed, so we'll leave it on. Next up is the path to MSFS Layout Generator. This is a third-party tool that we use here. You can get, if you did want to download your own copy of it, you can click this link, but a copy is bundled with this app, so you don't need to touch this unless you wanted to use a specific newer version of the layout generator. This option is important depending on whether you have the Steam or MS Store version of Flight Simulator. You need to set this. So if it is on Steam, there's this warning here, I can't test the Steam version, I don't own it. I've had feedback from users saying it works, but if you run into problems, let me know about them. This option we can leave at default to preserve 16-bit textures. Sometimes when extracting texture data from existing aircraft, it's in 16-bit texture format, so this is just an option to preserve that. Default creator name, this is when we'd start having to add our own info in here, so I'll put mine. This is what shows up in your livery packages as the creator. Default output location, this is where we will ask the application to write the built livery packages. So I'm going to put those in there. You can browse if you want. A paint kit folder. Come on to paint kits in another video. This is where the paint kit builder will create them. And we need one more, which is where we're going to create each livery project. So it's just the working files it needs. That should default to your a folder in your documents path, actually. Okay, so nearly done with options. So aircraft source folders. This is where the application will scan to find your installed aircraft. So it could be your community folders, which is usually a good idea unless you, for some reason, want to avoid trawling through all of them. But I'm going to click Detect Community Folders, and using the standard MSFS community folder definition file, my application is able to find wherever you've got your community folders. And you could add other folders too. Let's say you've got aircraft installed through third-party installers like Contrail or Orbex. You could point to those installation folders if they're outside of your community folder. This one, we don't need to touch it now. This is a list of strings, which if a texture, when we're extracting textures from aircraft, if a texture has any of these strings in it, we won't show it in the texture list for you to pick from because that list gets very long. So essentially this is likely to be things that you're not going to paint. So look, there's interior things here, tires, rivets, screws, so on. So you can change this list, but I've set some defaults in here which eliminate a lot of the noise when we otherwise pull a very long texture list. Very last thing at the bottom of the settings, you can open a log file. So if you run into problems, I might ask for you to share that with me. Link to the help and donation page and a version number here. So that's all of the basic settings we need to worry about. We'll go back home and we'll see that's cleared the yellow message. So the next step in the next video will be how to build out a paint kit before we start painting an aircraft.